Tonight on One News, signs will be driving in a new direction, but will changes to the give-way rules lead to crash chaos?
Oh, I think it'll be nothing but bang bang for a while.
They've been let loose, but there's outrage as the child killers of British toddler James Bulger are set free.
A major food show spreads a safety message about the source of a new cancer scare.
And fostering midwinter cheer, we visit a southern home where Christmas comes more than once a year.
Yeah, look at this little angel. Isn't she beautiful? Look at her dress. Do you like that, Tamara?
But leading One News, the way we drive is at a crossroads.
Transport safety officials are looking at a road code overhaul. At the centre of it is a move to get rid of the give way to the right rule. That's designed to stop accidents at intersections. But before it even gets the green light, experts warn it'll lead to more car crashes and traffic chaos. Andrew Potter reports.
Alan Hignet's been driving the roads of Auckland for 50 years. He's seen plenty of changes to the road code, but says the right-hand rule should be left alone.
People will be confused, and it'll occur where they both go at the same time, and there's going to be a bang bang.
The Land Transport Safety Authority hopes not. Its proposed plan is all about cutting intersection accidents. It works like this. Right now, when you turn left, you give way to any car turning right. Under the plan, right-turning vehicles would give way to those turning left. At uncontrolled T intersections, those turning give way to all traffic crossing or coming from the right. Under the new plan, they'll have right-of-way. The LTSA points to big gains.
The crashes in that situation account for perhaps 1 or 2% of the overall crash rate, which doesn't sound like much, but when we're having around 8,000 or 9,000 crashes a year, there can be safety gains if we can improve on that situation.
An end to the right-hand rule would be a return to the past. It was introduced in 1976 to improve traffic flow at intersections. The New Zealand Drivers Club says it never worked.
Internationally, we've been completely out of step with the rest of the world. This step is common sense. It brings us back into line with the rest of the world, and that can only be good.
But the Automobile Association are against the move. A survey of 440 of their members found many don't think doing away with the right-hand rule will make our intersections any safer.
A lot of people may think that the present rule is working okay, and maybe they're just against change at this stage.
Police, though, are confident there'll be no short-term pain for a long-term gain.
I don't think we'd have that rush of crashes anyway. It would be well debated in the public, well publicised, and if we are talking about simplifying the rules, then there's likely to be less crashes, not even more in the first instance.
The proposal has other recommendations too, among them requiring drivers to indicate when entering a roundabout, extending the required use of headlights to 30 minutes before dusk and 30 minutes after dawn, making it illegal to drive across any part of a pedestrian crossing while a pedestrian is making their way across. The proposal will also make the use of scooters or inline skates in traffic illegal.
But don't expect to see changes on our roads anytime soon. The proposal must now go through public and government consultation. That's expected to take at least 2 years. Andrew Potter, One News.
But if the road code does change, the repercussions for New Zealand motorists will be widespread. Driving instructors are expecting to be busy, and the insurance industry is warning that drivers may even be hit where it hurts, in the pocket. Lisa Glass explains.
Handbrakes on.
Handbrakes on.
Terry Judd's almost through her driving lessons, but still finds the right-hand rule confusing.
It's quite hard. It takes your mind off things.
But if changes go ahead and we revert to pre-1976 rules, it's not just new drivers who'll be learning.
The subtle changes would have to be made for them to sort of like be able to move into it slowly.
We've certainly been slow to pick up the current law. It's confused learners and seasoned drivers alike.
Now and then I've had to pull up a couple who do turn without, unintentionally. They make the turn, and it's like just having to remind them again, you've got to stop here because now you're controlled by a certain sign.
The LTSA says any change would be introduced slowly, and not until we've had months, even years of public awareness campaigns to fill us in on the new rules. But having to second-guess other drivers almost inevitably means the odd ding or two.
Certainly the crash rates would increase for a period. They are low-speed crashes generally, so the actual damage isn't often too great.
But Dick Ward does acknowledge that an increase in the number of crashes would lead to increased premiums over time. Any changes are not only a couple of years off, but if the LTSA is anything to go by, will be well and truly re-educated by the time they're introduced. That'll hopefully mean smooth driving for this rule reversal. Lisa Glass, One News.
The LTSA says it's very rare for the organisation to make changes to the road code, but it says the current review is an important chance to make sure all existing road rules are clear.
In other news, police have been back in a tiny Northland community today, hunting the attacker of a local teacher. Susan Brown was viciously beaten in her bed on Wednesday in the small farming settlement of Hukaranui. The 47-year-old is still critically ill and causing concern in Auckland Hospital. Police have had a team of nearly 50 people in Hukaranui today looking for clues and a motive.
Meanwhile, police bosses are tonight saying sorry to the families of Ben Smart and Olivia Hope. The apology follows allegations that the police commissioner breached their privacy. He revealed details of an unsuccessful search for the pair's bodies against the family's wishes. Penny Deans has the latest.
News that there's been a private search for the bodies of Ben Smart and Olivia Hope came from top police sources.
Well, I revealed it yesterday on radio because I think the public interest was so high that the public needed to be reassured that the police had done everything possible. And of course the private search reconfirmed what the police had concluded.
The police commissioner too spoke of the private search on Late Edition.
There has been a private search of that area, still unfortunately not locating Ben and Olivia.
Last night, Olivia's father, Gerald Hope, said it was inappropriate for the police to talk publicly of the private search when they didn't know the full facts. Today, both the police minister and the police commissioner said they would apologise to the families about releasing the information.
I will try and talk to the families next week, but I've got to say, with these inquiries, sometimes they go places and information gets out that they'd rather keep confidential.
It's understood the private search centres on the area off Tory Channel, where a Navy sonar search identified 2 mysterious objects. Inquiry head Rob Pope has said there's a high probability they are Ben and Olivia's bodies.
I actually wouldn't call it a high probability. I'd say there's a possibility.
Trying to actually retrieve any object on the seabed 95 metres down is difficult and dangerous.
It's getting down towards the limits. The hazardous bit comes in obviously on the conditions there. Through the channels there can be quite a lot of current, maybe no visibility.
It would cost tens of thousands of dollars a day.
You're looking at minimum of 8 divers as a team, a boat, decompression chambers on site, the actual helium, the mixed gas itself. So it can be very expensive to run a dive like that, even for a short duration.
Meanwhile, police are ruling out a new publicly funded search unless new evidence comes to light. Penny Deans, One News.
Picton man Scott Watson is serving 2 life sentences for murdering the pair, even though their bodies have not been found.
There's fresh outrage in Britain tonight over an infamous murder that shocked the nation 8 years ago. The killers of 2-year-old James Bulger have been granted their freedom, but the announcement to release the pair, who are now 18, has provoked a furious response. Our Europe correspondent Ian Sinclair has more.
Robert Thompson has probably already been released. The parole board has concluded he and the other killer, John Venables, are probably no longer a risk to the public and should be freed as soon as possible. But James Bulger's mother has warned of retribution. Speaking through a family friend, she says the killers will pay.
Thompson and Venables may think they have got off lightly, that they can go and hide. I know different. I know that no matter where they are, someone out there is waiting. There will be no stone unturned.
From the moment CCTV pictures of James Bulger being abducted from a shopping centre were released, public feeling against the killers has run high. His body was discovered on a railway line. The 2.5-year-old had been tortured before being killed. The lawyer for John Venables says his client is deeply sorry.
He's clearly remorseful. He expresses remorse. He expresses contrition and a deep remorse not only for the offence but also for the offence on the wider family of James Bulger.
Mr. Thompson and Mr. Venables will never be completely free. There are standard conditions in any parole licence which restricts what you can do, where you can do it, who you can do it with.
The courts say the murderers' new IDs must be kept secret, but that might not be possible.
Anybody who's outside England and Wales will be able to put this information on the internet with some measure of impunity.
This most disturbing and controversial of British cases will not end here. The young killers will be looking over their shoulders for many years to come. And as for the Bulger family, the grieving goes on. Ian Sinclair, One News, London.
Meantime, the Attorney-General is considering contempt proceedings against a newspaper that's posted the whereabouts of James Bulger's killers on the internet. We'll have more on the moves to protect the pair from media exposure later in Close Up.
Heading home now, health ministries on both sides of the Tasman are working on new rules in light of this week's soy sauce health scare. Some soy sauce products have been pulled from local supermarket shelves after an overseas report signalled they may contain cancer-causing chemicals. Now officials are looking at options, which include tougher border controls and new food standard regulations. And they're still warning the public to avoid soy sauce products.
Well, despite the warning, thousands of people have been sampling soy sauce that's traditionally brewed and said to be free of the suspect chemicals. The sauce is just one of the culinary delights on display at the annual food show in Auckland. Brian Seymour went along for a taste of what's on offer.
A little bit of garlic vinaigrette.
Soon after the doors opened at the food show, it and everyone there was full.
Yesterday we had just under 6,000 and today I think we probably nearly hit that already.
There was plenty to chew over with expert cooking tips.
When you take the lid off there you can see that that's got an absolutely beautiful colour to it.
And lots of free tucker. The food show is one place it's not considered impolite to speak with your mouth full.
Jess, does that mean you feel the same way as I do?
Translated into a surge of organic foods at the show, the soy sauce cancer scare serving as the perfect opportunity to promote a safe alternative.
Naturally fermented soy sauces, of which shoyu is one, tamari is another one.
Much as the soy sauce in supermarkets, but you use less. And the taste? An organic menu for every meal, from breakfast to supper. And to finish, a morsel of cheese, cut from this 100-kilogram block imported from Switzerland, which was dwarfed by the dozens of Kiwi-made cheeses. But which wine to match each morsel? At an intimate seminar upstairs, experts lectured on how to identify a wine's aroma, including the scent of a wet dog or a burnt match. Crammed in like sardines, some preferred oysters and a cooling Guinness. Everyone left having eaten something, and a few learnt something.
I've learned to listen to my wife.
Brian Seymour, One News.
Now I'm hungry. Later on One News, the move to pull the plug on a new red light area in Wellington.
A mum accused of drowning her children appears in court while the community wonders how it happened.
This is the most horrendous thing that I have ever seen.
On the defensive, a French mum speaks out on using her brother's sperm to have a baby.
And the new fears that some of Transrail's passenger services could be taken off the map. A badly burned baby is still in a critical but stable condition in Auckland's Starship Hospital. An incident in a Meadowbank home on Wednesday left the 4-month-old girl with burns to a quarter of her body. Her mother has appeared in court charged with assault and has been remanded to the Mason Clinic to undergo a psychiatric assessment.
The mother accused of drowning all 5 of her children in the bath has appeared in court in Houston, Texas. It's alleged Andrea Yates killed her kids one by one and chased her terrified eldest to finish the job. But the case is bewildering the community, as Margaret Maher of CBS reports.
Quiet and emotionless, Andrea Yates appeared in a Houston courtroom today.
Ms. Yates, you understand what it is you're charged with, ma'am?
Yates is charged with capital murder for allegedly drowning her 4 boys and infant daughter on Wednesday. No decision has been made about whether to seek the death penalty, but prosecutors who met with the children's father at the family home this morning appear acutely aware of the unusually horrific nature of this crime.
It's not an everyday occurrence anywhere. It's not an everyday occurrence in the world. This is the most horrendous thing that I have ever seen.
This entire story is filled with unimaginable details and circumstances from a husband and father who today could face no more questions.
I don't want to talk about it right now.
To stunned neighbors.
Because there was not a clue visually to anybody that this might happen. They just seemed a normal, happy family.
No one seemed to know that this mother of 5 was beyond despair. A person suffering from depression can cross the line into psychotic behavior when they stop talking to those around them, according to psychologists.
Your judgment is impaired in the sense that you're not thinking, wow, I'm so sick I need to go into the hospital. Instead, you're thinking, I better not tell them I'm thinking this because they're going to put me in the hospital and I don't want to do that.
In 1986, another young Houston mother tried to drown 6 of her 7 children. 2 died. The woman, who asked to remain anonymous, served a short jail sentence, claiming depression as her defense.
It's something we don't plan. It's something that happened because of your illness, because of what's going in your mind, you know, at the time that those things happen, you know.
Yates's husband did not appear with her in court. Instead, he was arranging the funeral for his children, set for Wednesday.
The 62-year-old, who's had an IVF baby by using her brother's sperm, has spoken out about her decision for the first time. And despite worldwide disgust, the French woman's insisting she's done nothing wrong. This from the BBC's James Kumarasamy.
Learning to bath her newborn child at the age of 62. This is the first time the retired teacher from the south of France has spoken since she revealed that she'd used her brother's sperm to conceive. Janine has been criticised for passing her sibling off as a husband in order to have IVF treatment in the United States. But she says that all she ever wanted was a son and heir. We haven't committed a crime, she says, holding back the tears. People who've attacked us should take a good look at themselves. I've always coped on my own, and now I'm being condemned for it. But some suspect there were financial motives. It's alleged that Benoit David and his sister, who was carried by an American woman but now lives here as well, were insurance that the family's fortune stayed close to home. Today, a legal inquiry was launched.
The baby's future now rests in the hands of the local authorities. They will decide whether or not this household is a suitable place for the children to grow up in, regardless of how and why they were conceived.
It's claimed the fertility treatment cost more than $300,000.
Just ahead, why some of our scenic rail rides are under threat.
The Little Devils with the look of the Red Devils, the connection between these Kiwi kids and Man United.
Excellent skills. Right, Red, you're all on the same side.
Later in sport, Pistol Pete scoffs at retirement rumours as he prepares for Wimbledon.
And hello everyone, I'm David DeSoma live at Jade Stadium as we count down to the All Blacks' second test of the season. This time it's Argentina.
There's a shaky future tonight for 4 of our most scenic rail rides. 1 southern journey and 3 North Island routes are facing the axe when Transrail sells its passenger network. This from Hamish Clark.
Don Gibson is a leading negotiator with Melbourne-based company West Coast Rail, one of 3 companies bidding to buy out Transrail's passenger network.
We've been participating in the tender bid and we're very interested in the business and we'll be looking forward to trying to win it.
This week there's speculation over whether the Southerner passenger service from Christchurch to Invercargill will survive the sale process. Local politicians and unions fear the service will be scrapped. Now there's more conjecture that 3 other passenger routes, this time in the North Island, could also be for the chop. They include the Bay Express from Wellington to Napier, the Kaimai Express from Auckland to Tauranga, and the Geyserland from Auckland to Rotorua.